Well, this is exciting to have a session 0.1, our first interview with the players for Reckless Moves Season 2. And I am I am humbled because we have our guests today who are also dungeon masters themselves. So Melinda Barkhouse and Rob Ross, I am going to ask you some questions, basically individually. This is very free form, but the first thing I ask is, what got you into D&D? And I know that a couple of you play other games, so we're playing Dungeons and Dragons currently 5th edition and later on 1, whatever that is. So
we're gonna go into 1. This is news to me.
No,
you did not know?
You're a brave man.
No, we're going to be doing 5e for this campaign until the world changes.
That's fair.
Because they just announced something for like 2 years ago. But anyway, I'm Michael Cremean. I'm the Dungeon Master because I am a masochist. And I I love being a Dungeon Master for Dungeon Masters. But really, you guys are amazing people because I've been a player alongside you. And now being a Dungeon Master for a game is pretty exciting. So let's start with Melinda. What got you into D&D? What's your background with gaming is a better question.
Okay. Well, it was a fateful night when I was in grade 8. I used to hang out with kids who got into like nothing but trouble. And every once in a while I would kind of sneak away from them and I would meet up with this other group of kids and we would go into this guy's house and we would play D&D. I don't even know what edition it was. It's got to be 4th, I would say. And I think they just let me get away with a whole bunch of stuff, to be honest. I don't think that I'd actually truly played D&D like by the rules, so to speak. I think that they were just letting me come in, have some fun, and then go on my way. But I came back to the game three or 4 years ago now, and I just needed something to do. I needed something to fill some time. My circle of friends was getting smaller and smaller, and I was like, I need to meet some new people. I need some fresh blood. The two things are not related, but I was like, I just need.
That's a different question.
I just need a new circle of friends. Basically, was what it came down to, and there was a friend that I had, and I knew that he was like a super D&D guy, so I reached out to him and asked if he had any games going on. He ended up pulling together this group of people and we started to play. And about a year into it, we were just about to start the Curse of Strahd, or we were 2 or 3 games in, and he pulled the plug and decided he didn't want to be a DM anymore. He was starting to get burnt out. Yeah, so that's the short story of how I ended up as a DM. Because then it evolved into Wizards and Wine, which accidentally became an all-female cast. That wasn't on purpose. It was just kind of how everything landed. And that's kind of how we came about and how I got back into the game. It was just looking for friends who, had a different point of view, or the same point of view that I had, same kind of common interests. I was just looking for a way to do something a little bit different than what I had been up to.
So Wizards and Wine, is that a podcast or do you streaming as well?
It is both. Yeah. We're still working some of the kinks out because if I'm involved, it's a comedy of errors. It's just a rule of thumb. And I think we're getting better at it though. The streaming with the Vegas table is finally smoothed out, I think. I didn't look at today's video, but I don't think that we were doing any.
Do you record and then publish or do you live stream?
And I also record and publish. So the podcast that you get is like an edited version of that. I add music beds and all of that kind of stuff. So you get the real view of how the games go if you're watching the live stream, and then you get the cherry-picked, highly curated content when you listen to the podcast.
That's what I listen to. I listen on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
And it's pretty well produced.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay.
So yeah. Wizards and Wine, they can find you on all the platforms.
All of the platforms. Yeah.
All right. Well, Rob, same question. What got you into, what's your gaming experience? What got you into gaming?
Mine's more like a evil origin story.
I love that. Mine too. But I'm doing my own later.
So this happened in this really truly does, man. This is in New York. met up with a guy named Keith Joyner, huge figure in my life, really taught me a lot about what it is to be a guy and blah, blah, blah. If you're watching, Keith, honestly, I've been trying to keep your legend alive for a long, long, long time. We were at a really very, very high-end acting school, the Neighborhood Playhouse, if anyone knows what that is.
In New York City?
Yes, sir. It's pretty much Harvard. It's the one of the three peoples that invented American acting. That's one of their schools. You have Stella, you have Stella, you have Meisner, you have a couple other people that are offshoots. But I happen to be going to the Neighborhood Playhouse, and it's not a positive place to go, although you will become a really good person after the fact. It's it's one of those struggles. Like if you're going to be a doctor, you go through the struggles of going through like Harvard, or like, I mean, like that is part of it. Like it's a very, very dark place that makes you glow as hard as they possibly can make you. So, and recourse to get out of all of that outrageously hard acting stuff, he happened to play vampires in Vampire the Masquerade with his brother. So this was still an acting activity that we could do. It was all based upon improv. Meisner is a school of improv, not just acting, but specifically on the improv aspects of it. And it was a relief. It was something to go and do that was acting and was still working on the craft that I was working on. But it was positive, and it was fun, and it was light, and it was enjoyable, and you got to use all the stuff you just learned in class. And instead of like, crying softly to yourself in a corner, like you got to varnish a giant weapon and become a werewolf or a vampire, and add all those chops to like,
Did you say that Vampire the Masquerade is light?
Oh, dude, you haven't been to the Neighborhood Playhouse.
Okay, so I'm a little confused by that, because it doesn't sound like light fare. It's not like Smurfs the game.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
No, I mean, I'm sorry that this is going to go a little bit blue, but I've literally like been ridiculed by a whole group of people naked with my tennis shoes over my crotch. Like that's a real story that really
quite
happened.
A look.
Yeah, man, it's not fun. And as that was happening, the director was like, you live in New York City. Where do you think those shoes have gone? Just to see what my reaction to be.
Oh my
having
gosh.
those horrible shoes where they shouldn't have been. The Neighborhood Playhouse is real. All of those places are real. Those three top schools, they're all very, very real. They ask a lot. They ask a lot out of people.
It's like a creepy Red Hot Chili Peppers origin.
Yes,
with a sneaker instead of socks.
Yeah, that's
right.
Pretty much, man. So this became this wonderful outlet, and I don't mean that we just played. We played because it was an out. It was a way to, because you had to keep on working on your craft, because these are your peers that are fighting for like two jobs in the world. So this became like a beautiful outlet to use the benefits. Later in my life, I look back at Neighborhood Playhouse, and I'm very thankful that I went through that process. I feel very sound in myself, because they pretty much destroy you to build you back up. But during that time period, Vampire the Masquerade was, I mean, I don't know how I would have gotten through it. We'd play 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 hours a day. We didn't have cable. We were very poor, living in 63rd Queens, like 4 college students in a 2-bedroom house. Like it was the story that you think it was. And so I got into it very hardcore, just as something that was positive and free. And all the roommates were all actors, so all of us just kind of jumped into this and really had a great time doing it. And it was a free release. Everyone got to laugh. Everyone remembered why acting was fun. But for D&D specific, I'd never played D&D. This was brand new to me. And I meet this beautiful woman in Canada, and unfortunately, it's really hard to go to Applebee's when the person you want to take lives a complete continent away. Mm-hmm. So we had to start talking about something that we could have a dialogue over. As she just recently, like she had said, jumped into Dungeons and Dragons. And I didn't know anything about it. So I was like, well, you know what? This is going to burn air. At least we can talk on the phone and have something interesting to have a conversation over. And what we ended up doing was building like a whole D&D city together, and me learning the rules, just trying to, because I loved the girl and I needed a way to not just say, I miss you too. You know, there had to be subtext, there had to be context to our conversations. So we started working on D&D and built a couple worlds together, made some characters, and it's kind of been something that's kept us very happy and close together since then.
I've been thinking about our orc rogue a lot recently. He used to catch flies with chopsticks.
Yes.
That was part of his roguishness.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was
maybe,
also our
maybe
postmate.
influenced by some film or
very
something,
much.
but
Yeah,
you
maybe.
know.
Yeah.
Steal everything, people at home. Steal everything.
Well, that's kind of the Dungeon Master's milieu, which is you're influenced by what you read, what you watch, what you experience, your life. And that sounds like that's what you got from Vampires and Vitae, which I'm not as familiar with. I know of it, but haven't played it myself. But you also are a DM of Vampires and Vitae, which is an ongoing campaign, and you can also find those on all the streams.
Absolutely,
which is really fun. So you guys are both DMing different games, which gives you your own thing. But as players together, what I found is you have your own unique play style, each of you. And just in the preliminary, not to give too much of the campaign because we're going to start that very soon, but so you made characters for this campaign, which is I can't tell you that I spent after season 1, which was 94 episodes of Reckless Moves, but it was podcast only, looking for people that really like loved role playing. Now, but that said, what kind of blend do you each like for combat versus RP? Because what about you, Melinda? You first.
I probably tend to lean RP a little bit more than I lean combat. And that's just because I haven't found the secret sauce to RPing my way through combat. Do you know what I mean?
Can be done.
Yeah, it can be, absolutely. I just haven't found that secret sauce to balance the two things together. It's something that I'm constantly trying to work on. Even as a DM, I find that I don't want to say I rush through combat, but combat still feels very mechanical to me versus an opportunity to tell a bit more of the story.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I still, I think I just default to RP before I would go to combat.
Well, also sometimes just like in war games, the only way to win is to not play.
No, that's true
right.
Too,
I love when the best laid plans of the DM.
Yeah.
I could plan for 4 hours to do a certain thing, and a player will do this over on this left-handed side. And I love that so much because creativity to get out of something rather than I rush in and smash something, which also has its place.
Yeah.
What about you, Rob? Combat role play?
Are we talking about me DMing or me
as players?
playing?
I should have prefaced that saying as players.
All right. Well, I find it very fun as a player that the only time that you get to DM in somebody else's game is by describing, instead of just saying, oh, I do Eldritch Blast again, because if you're a warlock, that's pretty much all you're going to do. So I find it interesting and fun to be able to make that Eldritch Blast always a little bit interesting, because you don't get to paint as a player. You get to have all the other funds, and you get to see all these images, and you get to live in somebody else's world, and you get to have story plots and hooks that you get to chase and things that you get to find. But like when they're like, how do you do that? You get to say for a moment, like in combat, like, no, I do it this way. Like I reach into my robes and I bring out some amethyst and I put two stones together, and you get to come up with a very short, like, narrative story of how not just like your warlock works, but how you as that warlock, like, how does your magic come out? Like you can be a barbarian and be like, yeah, I hit him in the head. Or like that's part of like a ritual that like your family used to do by beheading, for praise of the gods. I mean, like you can add all those things.
So descriptive combat is much more fun for me as well as a dungeon master. So that's one of the reasons. Actually, I think I think half the people playing are DMs.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really exciting because the way I think my job is to facilitate fun and to know what people's goals are and what they like to do. the players really drive what happens. You have complete agency.
Absolutely.
So there's there may be some general like global railroading, but I don't railroad in the thing, in the place, in the moment.
The minutia. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the way I build a campaign, here's where you start, here's where it's going to end.
Right.
And there's theories along the way.
Sure.
So without revealing any backstory, because that's going to come out in the game. So Melinda, tell me about your character that you developed for this Reckless Move season 2.
Oh gosh. Well, Michael, I still
You're torn.
I'm so desperately torn.
They just took a race away from you.
Yeah,
Because
well,
we're doing Spelljammer.
and because it was as soon as I saw the first initial stuff that was starting to come out about the Hadozi and the problematic stuff attached to them, I messaged Michael right away and I was like, I can't move forward with.
So to explain contextually, because people may watch this much later.
Yeah,
there was we are allowing, and in the future, like Spelljammer is a new thing. It's actually not a new thing. It's a new thing in 5e.
right.
It's something that I did. I don't remember what year it was. I've been playing since I was 13 and I'm 53. Yeah. So,
78.
Yeah, it was new.
Yeah.
When it came out, it was exciting, like space D&D.
Right.
But there was some controversy about this race, the Hadozi. You can look it up, Google it. I think they've done a good job of acknowledging and moving on. But as a result, you are currently, and we're not locked into this until we start playing.
Right.
We're currently playing a GIF what?
Artificer, Battlesmith.
Now GIF are the hippo race, which I just love them.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect race for guns and weaponsmiths and so you say artificer, however you say it. It's exciting.
Yes.
What got you into that? What excited you about that class?
So I've been intrigued by the class for a long time, and I think you might have played one in a one shot that we just played like randomly at 2:00 in the morning with some friends one time.
We do that a lot.
Yeah, we do. Random games that pop up. We're just like, hey, let's roll some characters and play a game. So I'd been intrigued about the class for a while, and I know that we as the three of us play in a game all together, and I know that there are a couple of people who've come and gone in that game who absolutely will not, under any circumstances, allow that class into their games because they think they're horrifyingly broken. They just think that they're very overpowered.
I disagree, by the way.
Yeah,
like I think people should play what interests them, and if it's in canon, if it's actually in the game, if it's not Unearthed Arcana or something, if it's actually in a book which I own all of them, on D&D Beyond. Thank you, D&D Beyond.
Yes.
So it's allowed. So and you have a couple unique features.
Oh God, you're gonna be
very unique features.
Do you want to? I don't know if you want to say, but
well, I mean, the GIF, like I need to spend some more time because I need to rework everything, right? Because I had my backstory for DD ready to go, and now I've got my GIF, and I still have to go back and re-examine all of that backstory and see if there's anything that's salvageable that I can reuse. But Michael, I'm really torn because I really enjoyed playing Tia in our testing,
which
that we were doing.
a kobold.
A kobold, yeah, and
my battle lizard, man.
Yeah.
I mean, bring her away.
I mean, kobold is they had some super changes.
Yeah, no longer pack tactics, right?
I mean, it's not just that; it's the ability to give people advantage.
Yeah.
The cry, right?
Yeah, draconic cry, yeah. All of that stuff. So yeah, I'm having a hard time completely divorcing myself from Tia. She was a kobold named Tiamat, by the way, which I thought was hysterical.
Awesome.
As I was typing the name in, I was having a little cackle down here all by myself in our podcast.
Oh, I got it instantly. But those that have been playing the game for a while would get it.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty clever of myself. So yeah, I'm having a tough...
TEEAH. Tia.
Yeah.
You know,
That which is probably pretty much the battle cry they just got rid of.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm still torn between the two. It may come and
Well, you have to decide by October
Yeah.
9th?
like real soon. Yeah, real soon.
So
And then
But autofights are both ways, right?
yeah, it's same class both. I just have to make sure that I
you're
land
I'm
on-
going by memory, but your origin doesn't have to change that much for any class, any race you choose.
yeah. And the thing about and the challenge for me as a player coming into a new campaign is I like to build my characters, and then as I play the character kind of reveals
Yes.
themselves to me.
Yep.
So to sit down and write a backstory and actually set things down in black and white and like set it in stone is daunting to me.
I completely understand. And it's actually, so the reason I ask for those things is because they become the future fodder for a lot of activity, quests, reveals.
Yeah.
Like there's a secret that I had in a campaign that I kept until level 15.
Oh wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And it came out and everyone was like dumbfounded. It was one of those like like Jaws literally went. It was blank stares, which I enjoyed thoroughly.
Yeah.
So you're artificer for sure, but you're not sure the race yet.
Yeah, and I think that the backstory that I wrote, I don't want to say it was generic enough, but I think it's pliable enough that if I go either with the Kobold or stay with the gift, I should be able to do a little bit of minor tweaking in either direction and really kind of like bolt it down. So yeah, and as a DM, I understand the need for detailed backstories and all of that kind of stuff. And it's so funny when I ask it from my own players because I struggle with it so much. So yeah, it's one of the I have a love-hate relationship with creating a backstory, I suppose, which is very different than when we're playing in Vampire the Masquerade because I have no problem sitting down and you
coming
write
up with a history of your character.
Yeah, it's like 10 pages long. And it goes from like when they were humans, what they were into, what they did, who their sire was, how old they were, what they turned into when they first were turned. And
well, I think that has more to do with just the play style.
yeah, it could, but it should I still should be able to take that and apply it to a D&D philosophy. But for some reason, yeah, I struggle so much with it.
Different people have different approaches. Rob, your character. Now, this is interesting. It's almost, you didn't know this when you created it, but it's almost an homage to a character in season 1.
It really?
Oh.
Yeah. So describe your character.
All right. So that's fantastic. I'm Gus Oddblow. I am in a world bereft of magic and that being looking down upon. I am the spawn of a genie, Air Genasi. That definitely had a huge impact. I don't want to let go too many of these secrets because we're going to definitely reveal all of this. But as an individual that can't help be made magic, I actually walk around as a barbarian to start off with. I can tell the audience that this is going to be a slight change eventually. So keep your noses to the grindstone and see how I find my way into a little bit more of perhaps my father's influence. But I'm exceptionally excited about this. I usually build a character specifically for that DM. I had the great luxury to work with Seven Smokes for quite a long time. In fact, we're right about to go to 100 episodes that we've been with together.
Nom de guerre of Seven Smokes. Do you know the origin? You know the origin of that?
No idea.
One of my favorite movies is You and Me Dupree, and he throws 7 kinds of smoke. So 7 smokes.
All right, hey, fair enough. I had no idea where that came from. It's just, I mean, like you've been that for me for over 100 episodes.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things that Michael ever did was snake bomb. It was a completely like internal thing that he just dropped on the map. Change the entire scenario. And if I have the luxury, and it is a luxury to play with your DM as a character before you go further into their own story, I saw what he enjoyed. I saw that you really enjoyed pushing the metal of like how you can push a character sheet. Can you optimize, but not optimize, but make it funny and cool and interesting?
Interesting is the
Yeah,
key for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
interesting. Like that. That's kind of what, like, for example, I play with my buddy Mitch, which also is part of a different platform. All of us, you can find all of us at uh, Pop Culture Cosmos if you want to check out any of those games. We won't take any time right now to do that, but you'll see different characters for all those different DMs that I attempt to give them the best character I can do when it comes to what I've seen them enjoy in the first place. And I think that I've come up with something
Interesting.
that
I had
is,
no idea of that.
yeah, like for you specifically, I've made a character that's procedural based, that is that it has to do things in the right order for to get your synergy. Like when it comes to like the base mechanics, yeah, my full
Right.
form is going to be fucking terrifying, bro.
I love it.
I mean,
Now, when you
like, but not
rage,
to
there's
be-
an interesting thing that happens as a barbarian.
Yes, when I do rage, being an air genasi, my background is being on a frozen sea. So I've taken that frozenness to be like the frozen tundra, instead of it being just wind. So there's a little bit of water element to it. It's not a water genasi, but it is a little bit of it. So I rock around with like dreadlocks with crystals at the bottom, like hanging wind chimes almost. But when I do go into a rage, all of those in a static electricity come back and give us some mohawk. So that'd be like the two duality. I'm playing a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde character for sure.
Yeah, I like that. So what you don't know and didn't know, and you created this totally on your
Oh
own.
yeah.
So in campaign 1, there was a barbarian who was a fire genasi, and when the actual name Reckless Moves came from something this guy did.
That's amazing.
Played by a guy named Kale, and he when he raged, he was a fire genasi, he had a fire mohawk.
Sure.
So his characters, like you had totally unrelated, you had
no
no idea.
I had no idea this.
And so that was a great callback.
Great.
So how
That's
Reckless
fantastic.
Moves was named was campaign 1, we did a module homebrew hybrid. So modules, homebrew in between to tie them all together in one narrative storyline, which is was fun for me because it was Tales from the Awning Portal. It was all I skipped one of them because
It's good.
But,
Well, it is good.
He was in a kobold warren, and at the mouth, they were thinking how they were going to go in. There's all this talk, plotting, like let's go in and let's sneak in and let's. One character was really good at stealth, and this barbarian said, "Hey, can I borrow your shield to the paladin?" He's like, "Okay," and he started. He goes bang 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 bang. Come on, kobolds! And he broke. He and everyone panicked. They all came into like they hid and they basically became. They all came out and became a kill box.
Yeah.
And so that was how it was. It was a reckless move, and that was how the name of the campaign and the podcast came about because of that. It was just organic how that happened. And
well, if you're listening, Mr. Mohawk, you should come and have a one day game with Ice Mohawk and Fire Mohawk.
He might come back. He might come back
answer
from
the
the
question of which you prefer, fire or ice.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yes.
Well, so personality wise, it's you're uncertain, Melinda. Depends on what race you take, what kind of.
Yeah, so if I stay with Tiamat, her personality, she's very much a scamp, I suppose, and forever tinkering. So I kind of took that a little bit from my dad. My dad was always tinkering with something. He was never a guy who, well, that's a lie, because we did watch a lot of movies together and we watched all of the Star Trek together. So we did have some downtime, but he had a workshop and he'd be out there building something or fixing something or whatever. I can't tell you how many hair dryers the man fixed. But so I kind of took a little bit of that from my dad, and I just want her to always be tinkering with the thing. So I've kind of built around that a little bit for her. for the GIF, I don't think she's so much a tinkerer as she is an observer and then a creator to solve the problems that she has perceived, whether they're true problems or not. So
Interesting.
she's an inventor that way versus an inventor through tinkering with Tiamat.
Got
That's
it.
kind of how I'm looking at the two of them. And that's, I think, why I'm struggling so much. Making a decision.
And Rob, as far as Gust goes,
Oh.
personality style, is there?
Oh, devil may care, man. He's way smarter than he lets on.
Mm.
He plays dumb. He like, but
As a strategy.
yeah, he plays dumb on purpose, and he's really good at it. If she plays Tia, there's a friendship there.
Yeah.
That Tia is probably the only one aware of how smart Gus actually is. And I rouse, and that's one of the reasons everyone just kind of lets Gus get away with being stupid, because that's that's just how he is. That's just part of it. But like he's very much not. He's very savvy. He's a little bit broken. I'm always when I build a character, I don't really go for that find tragedy with your purpose. I go for find the light, and then that'll give you your guide. So I don't really build tragic characters. If they have a tragic backstory, I will always try to add a huge amount of light that already happened beforehand that put them on a path to go towards something. So I'm thrilled for you guys to go through this incredible journey. Gus has a lot of places to go, because once you think you have him figured out, I don't think you do. He's devil may care smirk. When you put him down, are you sure you're not the butt of the joke? That's kind of where he is.
Got it. So you guys are a couple. How is it being players in the same game?
Oh, it's lovely.
Oh, honestly, fantastic. We actually worked in real life together too.
Yeah.
I don't prescribe this to anybody else, but
it works for you though.
Yeah, somehow.
We have had many failed relationships across both of us.
Yeah.
And for some reason I just happen to like this person, and oddly, like even our employer was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Like, yeah, we got this. And it makes my day a joy at work. And
got it.
Next to me.
So that was something I asked, is I didn't know that about you. I didn't know you worked together as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've dated all the women in the world, and I like this one the most. Like, that's pretty easy.
That's quite a statement. That's a lot.
It is, right?
Yeah. Have you seen me? I used to be prettier.
Yeah, you lost all the hair. That's from
Yeah.
God did that on purpose. He's like, "You're gonna take over the world, Rob. We gotta slow this guy down."
So he took his hair.
I join you in the hair list a couple times a year for St. Baldrick's. So
fair. I like it.
There's going to be, it's interesting having, like, right now I have a kind of a clean cut, and then sometimes I have like really spikes, and sometimes I have none.
Right.
So it's going to change over the campaign for sure.
All right. I love that.
So given the campaign setting in Alenoria, which is and you guys have gone through the beginning of what this campaign setting is there something you're either looking forward to or not looking forward to in this environment? When to explain to everyone without giving the entire history of Alenoria, which I'll do in my session 0. There was an event in the past that almost broke the world, where a high-level wizard and a high-level cleric, the cleric stopped this massive spell from breaking the earth, and as a result, magic has been outlawed. And so that's an interesting beginning of the campaign. The only exception is people that work for this the Temple of the Kutho, which is the law of the land in Alenoria. That's all I'm going to say for now. But it's a challenge, or it could be a benefit.
I've made my entire character around that particular problem.
Interesting.
Go first.
Yeah. Well, I think for my GIF or my Kobold, I think that their ability to tinker and to create things as you know, an inventor, I suppose. I think that they're going to rely on that to hide any quote unquote illegal magics that they may infuse into those creations.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think that on the outside, all of their machinations will look overly complicated to explain the incredible things that this can do. Like my
Battle Flamingo.
yeah, my battle flamingo, for example. You know, you
Which
can't.
I love that so much. You just threw that out random during initial
By the way,
playtest.
that's not random. The flamingo has like super importance to me and Melinda.
Yeah.
The very
Oh,
first-
okay.
yeah,
I
the-
didn't
the
know
first-
that.
Yeah,
I thought it
actually,
was
right.
Do we have him on the table?
I think he is, man. The very
see.
first time she came down, it was so simple and so cute. Like when you like really when you go stay a month, you don't really bring your own products with you. You buy them there because it takes up space in the suitcase.
Sure.
So she's like, yeah, let's go to Walmart or whatever it was, and like just pick up some essentials. And like I happened to come with this bright blue flamingo that like was a pen. Like the stand was a foot and bright blue with feathers in the back, and like so it was just this little tiny throwaway gag that like shouldn't have been anything other than welcome to Vegas, boom, here's a blue flamingo. Our house is now full of flamingos.
Do they just keep coming to us?
Yes, it is. Like, we don't buy them. Like, they just like it's just this
So,
thing that is now flamingo.
It's one of those things that just happened, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
For me, it's coffee related things.
There you
So
go.
my company
there.
was named after my favorite coffee drink. And I have been granted coffee from all over the world just because I
That's
happen
fantastic.
to, like coffee.
Sure.
I have
Yeah.
so much coffee. Like if anyone needs coffee, people go to Hawaii and send me like 2 pounds of coffee and
Sure.
Right.
Kona
you know,
coffee, baby.
and
Mhm.
despite the fact that my company's name, like I can't drink that much coffee. Like
yeah,
Right.
I would die.
Yeah.
that's great.
But it's one of those things. My grandparents lived in Columbus, Ohio, a place called Little Turtle. I cannot tell you how many turtles they got given. Like
sure.
they
Right.
had turtles. I remember
Right.
their downstairs
Figurines,
den was like they put all the turtles
salt
down there.
shakers,
It
salt
was
shakers.
we called it the
Yeah.
turtle room. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Salt shakers, turtle liquor things.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy.
For mine specifically, I build characters for the DM. You brought this amazing problem, this quagmire of what it is to live in a world of magic, D&D, and that be illegal. So I tried to access the most magical thing I could think would be a genie. Like that's period. Like that's like birth of magic. That is
Yeah.
unbelievable power, little itty bitty living space. Like I mean, like that's like I thought magic, I thought genie, and then I thought like what would a genie have to do in a world without magic? And barbarian was just like the most anti-magic thing because rage like destroys magic. So like when he small spoiler, or we'll call this a hint, when he got put on his path, what they used him for was a barbarian to fight. I'm not gonna spoil.
I get it.
I'm not gonna spoil.
Yeah.
But
You're so tempted though.
I
can
really am.
see it in
because
your eyes.
I've been sitting on this for 2 months, man.
just
Yeah.
sit on it. Sit on it a little longer.
Yeah.
So that barbarian aspect is specifically for you to like chew on and eat and like engorge because you already made this story. Like you already like so like why not fucking throw up some filet mignon? I mean, like I think it's gonna be really neat, and I'm super excited to play in this campaign.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add, either of you?
Just remember, Gus
Gift
is
for
not.
Kobold? I don't know what to do.
Be my battle weasel. Be my battle weasel. I wanted to have a Groot a rocket thing going on.
Oh yeah, is that what's going on?
If you're a
Yeah.
hippo, I can't lift you up.
No, that's very true. I could lift you up though.
There you go.
I'm made of air, so sure.
Yeah.
All right, I'll be your rocket. And remember, when you see me on stream, if I sound stupid, that's either the actual person Robbie being stupid, or he's playing it. I'll give you a little hint. Maybe he's holding some cards back.
Well, I think that that could go for anyone.
Right.
Yeah, there's about 150 NPCs planned already. So
There you go.
I went a little further than season 1 for the people, the main NPCs, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The world is full of NPCs except for you guys. So combat wise, you guys went over the house rules. One of the comments I'll make is that combat should be fast.
Mhm.
It should be fast. Decisions be made. If it goes around with 6 people and a couple enemies, and people haven't made a decision, okay, you dodge.
Yeah.
So we move fast. And to your point from earlier, Melinda, like combat should be fun,
Mhm.
not. And if it's obvious the tide has turned, rather than completing this out, I will sometimes either say they might surrender. They might also.
Sure.
It's an inevitable victory at some point, just
Right.
statistically, number wise. Sometimes I have a couple phrases which I'll save for the campaign, but
You finish them off.
you'll well, there's something from season 1 that I use a lot. You'll figure it out. But my answer to anything you want is you can certainly try that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything. I mean,
I could on playtesting, I still have a pet bomb.
That's right.
I had to mute because I had a spit take. That's
I think
right.
I think I should get to keep this bomb. I haven't used it
that's
yet.
the reason it was playtesting, wasn't it?
Ah, I worked hard. I cultivated.
Well, so for those watching, we spent a lot of time to make sure that the experience, we use Foundry, the experience with animations and combat went fast.
Oh, bro, by the way, hold on. Before you keep going, the audience at home, if this is the first video you're seeing, you're going to be so impressed of how hard and far they pushed Foundry. It is gorgeous. It is quick. It is based upon this. You're going to love this story.
Yeah, Michael, it's really
Yeah,
underscored
I
that I
mean,
have only scratched the surface of Foundry myself.
Yeah, man.
So
Like, this is
thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, this is a legendary action when it comes to like what you can really do with Foundry.
Yeah.
If you're a Foundry player yourself, look at this and then write in the comments when you're asking how the hell did you do that.
Yeah.
Like there's some really
I'm happy I'm always happy to help people too as well, because I love the platform, and it to me there's also like transitions. You don't always need a map. Sometimes you need like, hey, we're doing this thing in between,
Yep.
It just depends on the play. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this. Linda Barkhouse, Rob Ross, you guys are going to be amazing players. We'll end with this. Thank you for being DMs, but also being players in this season 2, because I know that the one thing that I know about you guys is it's really fun playing with you. So that's it. With that, we'll see you guys in the campaign.